Bo, Johnny, always good to talk to you guys. Johnny, we'll just start with you. Looking ahead to the combine, who should the Cardinal fans be looking out for?
Man, there's so many names to talk about. This is a great year for impact defensive linemen. How about a guy like Mike Green out of the University of Marshall? Small school guy, but he dominated against big name schools. James Pierce Jr. is another name to watch. The pass rusher out of Tennessee. The impact this team needs up front on the edge cannot be undersold. Doesn't matter what they do in free agency, Cam. I really do believe they've got to take advantage of this class. This is very stark difference from last year, where it was quarterbacks and cachet and marketing with Marv and Neighbors and Roma Dunze. That's not this year. This year, it's a very meat and potatoes draft. Up front, Walter Nolan's a guy that we also like as a defensive lineman. Anybody that can impact the line of scrimmage, that's who the Cardinals should be targeting.
Bo, is this right up your alley? Is this the type of class you're looking forward to seeing?
This is not exactly what I'm looking forward to. I mean, because it's going to translate to winning football games. I think for the Arizona Cardinals, at the end of the day, it's just what the doctor ordered in defensive front players. And also, I think you're going to see dabbled in there just line of scrimmage players, whether it's offense or defensive line. And they need help at tackle. They need help at guard. But really what this team has really been devoid of is defensive front seven players, and that's the strength of this draft. So I think Monty Ossenfort could be like a kid in a candy store, and he can go down 16th overall, and he can make his best choice of guys like Johnny said, Mike Green or James Pierce or Walter Nolan or Kenneth Grant from Michigan, and then in the second round still be flush with options at 47th overall, or if he wants to trade down again like he's done in back-to-back drafts.
But what's more important, the draft or free agency for this team?
Oh, I mean, it's no doubt about it. I mean, they've been as transparent as they possibly can. It's all about the draft. They're a draft and develop team, and you're starting to see the rewards of that as they've, put together, over 20 plus guys in the last two drafts. Now they're going to, start to kind of chip away at the leftover needs, and the need is the defensive front. They need people to get off their opposing quarterbacks and maybe create more opportunities for Kyler Murray in this offense.
Johnny, but we've seen the draft the past couple of years. Are we really going to keep waiting around for them to just stockpile draft guys and not go after anybody with a big name in free agency? At some point, you got to add some home run hitters, right?
Yeah, and I think it's tough because while Bo and I are on the same page, I'm probably more aggressive in the mindset, Cam, that they've asked too much of their rookies, I think, the last 2 years. And that was all well and good when you had the rebuild associated with it. You're putting a bow on the rebuild at the end of the spring, in my opinion. Like, the roster is set. The expectation then of rookie classes is come in and contribute, but we shouldn't be asking a Darius Robinson, a Max Melton, a Marvin Harrison Jr. to come in and save position units. And they've gotten too comfortable with that. Do you want to empower rookies that are ahead of schedule? Absolutely. But I'm with you. Like, this is the offseason. You've got the fourth most cap space in the NFL, just shy of $80 million right now. Josh Sweat and Milton Williams and Hassan Reddick, front seven players with familiarity with Jonathan Gannon, it has to be a priority. Heck, even somebody like Trey Smith, top guard on the market, somebody that could come in and play left guard opposite Yelda Froholt, that should be on their radar. A supplemental wide receiver underneath in the slot. Like, this team right now, if you're serious about contending in an NFC West that you kind of wet the bed with last year, in all honesty, you let that slip away. You think San Francisco is going to be complacent? You think Seattle, after missing the playoffs with a winning record, is going to sit on their hands? You have to be aggressive. And I get it. It's outside Monty Offord's comfort zone. And sure, everybody would love a 5 to 10 year rebuild that you could slow play draft after draft. That's not realistic in the NFL.
Bo, what do you think? Be aggressive. Got to it. You have to at some point, right?
Yeah, I think that this is the season now. You've properly set yourself up to push some of those chips into the middle of the table, to go all in. And if you identify the guys that can fill your weaknesses, and that's what free agency is about. I mean, even the owner, Michael Bidwell, is on the flagship radio station saying you supplement in free agency. But I think that there's some guys in this class, as there's in every free agent class, that can kind of push you over the finish line. They can get you over the hurdle, and you got to go out there and you have to aggressively done it. We've learned a lot of things, Cam, about Monty Ossenfort. He can tear it down. He can rebuild it to an extent with his draft capital, but can he do what's necessary in spending cap dollars on premium free agents? Can he identify the right ones? And this is the offseason. It's a pivotal one that he does so.
All right, can he do the right thing, Johnny, and draft a guy that everyone wants to see stay home in Cam Skattebo?
Can he? Absolutely can he? Will he? I don't know. I don't know if he'll have the gusto. Because here's what it is at the end of the day. It's a position that a lot of people deem in running back not valuable. Yet we just saw Saquon Barkley win a Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles. Derrick Henry, taking the Ravens deep into the postseason. Like, for me with Cam Skattebo, the Cardinals really kind of threw away, in my opinion, a lot of top 100 picks last year on guys that have an incredibly limited ceiling. They took a blocking tight end, respectfully, in the top 90, Cam. You're telling me you couldn't make an exception to draft a marketing phenom in Cam Skattebo on top of a heck of a great football player at pick 78? Sure, you don't want to take him in 47. I can understand that. Lean into the depth of this defensive class. But after that, it's like, if you're Monty Ossenfort, do yourself a favor, right? Last year, there wasn't an opportunity really to hit a home run on day 2. I get that. This year, you absolutely can. Like, nobody expects, in my opinion, Skattebo to go in the top 32 picks, although things can change. Day 2 needs to be about, okay, how do we find a way when day 2 is over to ensure this guy stays in Arizona? Because you look at the landscape of their running back group. James Conner signed an extension, 29 years old. He's basically year to year. He's been a stalwart. He's an all-timer, but he's about to be on the wrong side of 30. Trey Benson's a nice player, but certainly not somebody, third rounder out of Florida State, that you would say has secured anything long-term. Cam Skattebo, to me, just represents so much of what the Cardinals don't have. Marketability, star power locally and nationally. I feel like, what are we talking about here? A day 2 draft pick's going to derail the entire rebuild? That's ridiculous.
Bo, your face says otherwise.
My face just says the Arizona Cardinals have other needs that they need to fill before they really kind of take a luxury pick in Cam Skattebo. Like Johnny
What
pointed
a
out, they've got
compliment from Bo. A luxury pick. I love it.
yeah, I don't want to be disrespectful to Cam Skattebo. I understand it. I understand why all 32 NFL fan bases want him on their team. It's just we all know that Jonathan Gannon, he says this all the time, that if you have a roster spot on game day, you have to have a role. Now, what do we envision that role for Cam Skattebo being in 2025 for the Cardinals while they have James Conner and Trey Benson on this roster? Is he going to be a third down back? Is he going to play teams? I think that he would probably be better served to go somewhere where you get more of an opportunity. But I mean, I hear what Johnny's saying. Like, he's a guy that, you can envision in a year, could he take over RB1 duties? He'd have to kind of battle that out with Trey Benson. And it's good to have, a lot of talented players here. But just to take him because he went to school here and that, the marketing power, I don't know if that's necessarily the best way to build a team that's going to be a consistent winner.
I'll just show you that pass, Bo, he threw for a touchdown in the Peach Bowl, and then that long pass he caught that looked like a receiver. And then maybe the man can play special teams, right? Come on, sign him up.
Cam Skattebo, football player. We don't put labels on Cam Skattebo.
Guys, get you out of here on this. What's your level of optimism? Bo, we'll start with you in this offseason. Where are you at with this franchise? Is there really hope? Are we finally getting to the point where they are this close now to turning the corner, and enough with this rebuild?
There's a lot of trust from my behalf, and I think there should be from the fan base in the direction of this organization. I think they're seeing it through. They're doing some of the uncomfortable things that they've done the last 2 off seasons for the betterment and the future of this team. They ate their vegetables, but now it's time to have some fun. Now it's time to hit the dessert cart and maybe hit free agency, overspend, a little over calorie intake. That would be good for this Cardinals organization because if they make the right moves, if they're savvy in free agency and they hit in the draft again, they're going to be in a position to not only knock on the door of the playoffs, but make some real big noise in the NFC. So yeah, I've got a lot of faith in Ossenfort and a ton of faith in Jonathan Gannon to take this thing and continue to trend it in the right direction.
Johnny, the big thing is that JG said at the end of the year, we want to build the team around Kyler. We want to keep giving him pieces and keep making sure the rest of the team is solid so the quarterback can play. So your view of the offseason is what? Is this team close now to doing that and surrounding Kyler with everything he needs?
I think he had everything he needed last year, Cam, and it's really disappointing how they finished. I think they overachieved defensively. 15 points per game, and the offense was the reason they didn't make the playoffs. And you look at the structure of this offense, outside of like a guard or a complementary wideout, like what's changing, right? Same play caller, same quarterback, same cast of characters. Now the maturation process with he and Marvin Harrison Jr., you would assume is only going to improve. But I mean, this is it for Kyler Murray in 2025. And we're huge Kyler Murray fans on our podcast. I believe in him. I think he's going to answer the bell. But I mean, for this team to succeed this year, he has to be the best quarterback in the NFC West. He has to find a way to play consistent football beginning in September all the way through December. And fair or not, we haven't seen him do that yet as a member of this franchise. Now, to his credit, he's got a tremendous support partner in Jonathan Gannon that is constantly in his corner. And I do understand the rationale of let's get Kyler more opportunities by having a defense that takes the football away, right? That puts us in good positions, in terms of field position. I think the Cardinals sneakily this offseason might convert to becoming a little bit of a defensive team, and it has to start, as Bo mentioned, in the month of March. You have to go out and spend a surplus of your money, not to just spend it, but spend it diligently on guys that can come in and carry this team to the finish line. One of the stark issues of this team outside of Kyler's play at the end of the year is they didn't have enough star power to get them to where they wanted to be, and that was winning the NFC West. That has to change, and yes, you can supplement that in the draft, specifically with your first or second round pick. But in free agency, like we need to be talking about, man, did you see who the Cardinals signed? And yeah, that's a big contract, but man, that's going to pay dividends. The Cardinals have not signed a big money free agent. We were talking about it, Cam, on our show since what? Mike Iupati, Jared Veldheer, J.J. Watt. I mean, it's been a long time. That's got to end in about 3 weeks' time.
Real quick, just because I just thought of this, both of you guys. How about another star wide receiver to go next to Marv? Because I was talking to Larry a few weeks ago. Like, he brought up a really good point. Like, when he came in the league, he had Q to follow, and it just takes a lot of pressure off him. I like Michael Wilson. I like Greg Dortch. But, man, if Marvin just had someone else to help take the top off the defense, I really think that offense would flow a lot better. You got to get other defenses to respect these guys a little bit better and to back off.
Yeah, I think if you could find that in the form of somebody that just has the skill set, it doesn't have to be, kind of equal footing as far as star power. You got Trey McBride, who's kind of who's actually the top playmaker in this offense right now. If Marv can, hold up his end of the bargain, I think he's in the right direction, and he's going to go over 1,000 yards receiving and everything that we envisioned when they drafted him. But yeah, they still do need somebody to kind of get in the middle of the field, be a burner, somebody that's kind of take things up a notch. I agree, but I don't think you have to go out there and be in the business for like the T. Higgins or the top wide receivers available in free agency or the draft. I think they could supplement it otherwise.
I just have significant concerns, Cam, as it relates to Drew Petzing and this offense's ability to generate big explosives with wide receivers. I mean, just in how many games has Drew Petzing coordinated for this franchise? 34?
Yeah.
And
so
only
it's only because you haven't seen it, right?
Right.
You haven't seen it outside of Marv. Yeah.
And so I have a lot of skepticism. I mean, they drafted, Trey McBride, that was Steve Keim, but they drafted Tip Ryman to come in and be a blocking tight end in the top 90 picks. That tells you who they want to be offensively. So they have to get outside their comfort zone with throwing the football. I actually think Michael Wilson's very, very capable. We've talked about it on our show. Like, if Jacksonville were to part ways with like a Christian Kirk, could you coax him into coming back and playing underneath? Like, they need a speed slot receiver that can get you about, 15, 16 yards per catch, and then let the two, big athletes, young players on the outside grow. But this free agent wide receiver class is not great, and I am skeptical about bringing yet another rookie wide receiver. I think you got to get creative at that position.